Well, another Tuesday Wrestling has gone by. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed watching the NWA Super Power, Impact Wrestling, and AEW Dark. So we're going to do all three of these shows in one episode, but we're also going to do a news update talking about the icon himself, Sting. So get ready to watch another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up. 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 Get up, get up.
Hey everybody, so today is May 12th. I hope you guys enjoyed Tuesday Wrestling. I've actually had a great time watching all three shows. And right now we're going to start with the National Wrestling Alliance, also known as NWA. As you know, for the past few weeks, they haven't been thrown any power or the Super Power show that we were told we're going to get. Well, this time they actually did. It was like almost an hour and a half long because normally we've been seeing their shows go up somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour, but now it looks like we're getting good pace. There was some great matches, great stories, recaps from previous episodes that relate to where we're going. As you know, they still haven't decided yet what they're planning to do. Um, like we know that they suspended the operation for the Crockett Cup that was supposed to be taking place last month, and it didn't happen. But they tried to limit the whole thing from spreading the virus. It starts out with Billy Corgan giving a news update about something that's going to happen for the National Wrestling Alliance. He made it a swore that he's not going to fold the company. So it makes perfect sense. I'm cool with it. Billy Corgan is not going to let this happen. He's trying to step up in the same similar manner to WWE and AEW. Oh, but now Impact, of course, now NWA are going to do the same thing. So we're excited. I'm excited to see that. I hope you guys are excited. So it starts out with the interview with Marty Scurll and Brody Lee. So as you know, Marty is scheduled to face Nick Aldis at the Crockett Cup for the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, or as we call it, the 10 pounds of gold. Last time he was still dealing with Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis has been still unhappy with him, embarrassing him. But of course, we all know the stipulation. If Marty loses, he said he'll pay him $500,000, what it's worth for the 10 pounds of gold. And Nick Aldis couldn't resist because his proposition is to pay back the money that he owes the fans. But instead, Marty took it a different angle, which is more satisfying for Nick Aldis. So that's what happened for that. We did see return a recap from episode 19. There's still tensions between three female wrestlers, Allison Kay, Melina, and Thunder Rosa. Now, ever since Thunder Rosa won the title back in Hard Times against Allison Kay, Melina has been trying to persuade to get a title shot, but whatever mind games was going on. Now, I don't know if Melina was trying to get Thunder Rosa to lay down and do that, but she wasn't. Allison Kay still has issues towards Melina because she felt that she got in the way of her friendship with Marty Bell, and she hasn't done anything. So basically, this was on episode 19, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there's that, and of course, we haven't forgotten during that episode, Camille speared Allison Kay, and there was a stare down between her and Thunder Rosa. Now, it's still no indication yet if she will be gunning for the title. There's still no, like, the story wise, what Camille is trying to do. We know she's been quiet. Joe Galli's been trying to interview her, try to find out if she talks. So that's pretty much it. Then we jump in with that whole thing. As you must know, if you guys are big fans of the NWA, if you're not fans of the NWA, you can pre-order their first season of NWA Power on their website. I don't know how much it costs. I know they sell various items there. So if you're curious, you should buy it. You can pre-order now. So that's the big announcement. And on a previous Tuesday Wrestling episode, I did talk about Camille being in the first match. It was like a squash match against Maddie Max. She won that match. Joe Galley tried to interview her, but she said nothing. And there was like a video package of her explaining who she is. She said that she's here to destroy everyone. So it's still unclear what the motives is. So that's pretty much what happened. And then we go back to a previous episode, the same one, episode 19, where Murdoch was facing the question mark. Now, when he beat the question mark, he was attacked by Aaron Stevens, who still has issues with him because Murdoch is not. He feels that Stevens is not being a fighting champion. He's just holding on to the title, saying that he's not going to put on the line. And of course, he and Question Mark are trying to get themselves to put themselves for a tag team championship title match, but Eli and James Storm are not doing that. And then they've been trying to convince the Rock and Roll Express to give him status, but the problem is he wants them to pass them over, but it's not going to happen. The Rock and Roll Express are not into that. And then there's an interview by them where it's been announced that they are going to be part of the Crockett Cup. And now, like I said, the Crockett Cup is going to happen, but it's been postponed for the time being until NWA figure out what to do next. Um, then they go up to the match against Aaron Stevens and the question mark. Now, Stevens, he's nothing more than to try to deceive people to cheat his way through the win. But out of nowhere, here comes Trevor Murdoch. Trevor Murdoch still has his issues towards Stevens, and of course, Stevens has an insurance policy of his own, so he brought out the somewhat virgin son of the question mark Junior, a big 400 pounder, and it was kind of weird. But the moment he Junior tried to interfere, Trevor was chasing him, and of course, due to his weight, he lay down. That wasn't much of an insurance policy, but of course, Stevens was not happy with the fact that Trevor got in his business. But Rock and Roll Express played a little game with him where Ricky Morton was down, like a dog, while Gibbons pushed them and they made the pin, allowing them to win the match. So chances are for Stevens and question mark to trying to get tag team status is slim to none. Now I'm not sure if they're going to be in a Crockett Cup, but we're just gotta wait and see where they're gonna go with it. We then go to back to episode 20, where Ziggy Dice won the television title. He claims that title was meant for him and only for him. So that's something. And then we go to the interview. No, wait a minute. Then we see the tensions between both Melina and Thunder Rosa. Like, we don't know what has been going on. Now, later they put in an interview with Melina, and she claims that she earns the right to the title. And Alison Kay decided to give mad respects for Thunder Rosa because she did beat her fair and square. But what she does not appreciate is Melina being there, tried to get involved in her business. And Thunder Rosa told Melina she doesn't roll over for anybody. But since it's still unclear who she wants to face at the Crockett Cup, she wasn't afraid to lay it out, saying she'll take both of them. So it looks like we may get a triple threat, which is fine. I'm cool with it. And let's see. I think that's pretty much what happened. Then we see a video package again, this time involving Tim Storm, and then the attack by then this weasel named Danny Deals, who's been impersonating Mama Storm, insulting him, but he tried to get him into his head because he thinks Tim Storm is nothing but a sleazeball, a scumbag for cheating his way through, taking away the 10 pounds of gold from his previous predecessor, Jax Dane. This was a retribution match of a storyline the way it went. It was great. Jax looks like he had it, but of course, Tim still had to deal with the Danny Deals. But as soon as he beats him, he actually took him out twice. So don't ever mess with Tim Storm. Then we had May Valentine giving an interview about how she was hurting that Isaacs' actions is costing him his relationship. Now, May Valentine, a while back, became friends with Sal Sonaro, who's just her best friend. But Royce doesn't believe that. He thinks that he's out to steal her. But but before this, Sal had an arm injury, and May checked up on him if he was still okay. But Royce's jealousy took the better of him. So she cannot be in a relationship with a guy who's extreme jealous instead of being a supportive boyfriend. So she kind of ended with him. Or so, but we'll see. Uh, then we had a three-way match between Marty Bell, Tasha Steelz, and Ashley Vox, which is interesting because I know that Ashley Vox and Tasha Steelz are on the same page with Allison Kay. And Marty Bell's been aligned with Melina, and basically they Marty Bell was trying to prove that she can be a better wrestler, and but it was a good match. But Tasha Steelz took the victory on this one, so hopefully they can make the women's division good as possible. Uh, then we jump in back to episode 19 again, but this time involves the Pope, who initially has his issues with Eddie Kingston, and he paid off the bouncers who were originally aligned with Eddie Kingston. He paid them off with beer. And then the following episode, Eddie Kingston aligned himself with the current tag team champions, Drake and Storm, and took out the bouncers, which Pope was not too thrilled with the whole thing, but it happened, and he still has his issues towards them. Now, we jump into an interview with all three men with uh, the Pope, Eddie Kingston, Eli Drake, and James Storm. Eddie Kingston said the only reason that he aligned with himself, not to become friends. He was looking for fighters, guys who were willing to fight no matter what. And he known James Storm before from previous wrestling companies. Same thing with Eli, he didn't mention. And of course, all three of them made great statements. But my favorite moment is Eli Drake about how he said he welcomes anybody, any promotion, anybody who's involved in tag team to bring the best. It doesn't matter which company, which alternate universe, which planet, come on down. And then at the end of the day, he says this, Eli Drake says, we're going to say this to you guys. Sorry about your damn luck. And when that happened, James Storm's like, you took my line. He's like, sorry. And then he's like, yeah, which is the line from Eli Drake. Excuse me. So it was a lot of fun. And then we go back to the story with Marty, Skrull, and Nick Aldis. So I'm very pumped to see when this is going to happen. Now, like I said, the Crockett Cup is postponed for the time being. So we jump into the tag team match between both well, Villain Enterprises, Marty Skrull, and Brody King versus Strictly Business, Nick Aldis, and Tom Latimer. It was a great match. It's great teamwork from both teams, and of course, Marty, being the villain as always, he he tried to find a way to win the match, but it didn't happen. Apparently, they were distracted this time with both Camille and Royce Isaacs. Now, they could try to claim that they're the strongest faction, but this is far from over. between both Villain Enterprises and Strictly Business. Now, I don't know when it's going to happen, but I have that distinct feeling that the full force of Villain Enterprises will show up. So that's how the event ended, but it did not end with that. It ended with Billy Corgan giving another announcement about a brand new show called Carneyland. Now, he doesn't know how to explain it, but he did say this will be broadcast the following week. So that'll be next week. I'm excited to see where they're going to go. I mean, I love the superpower. I like the circle square, um, everything else. But we'll see what's going to happen then. So let's move on with on this episode of Tuesday Wrestling with AEW Dark. Welcome back. We're here to do AEW Dark. As you know, before I start the first match, this one was interesting. Re- reason I say that is because there were more matches, but also the entire duration of AEW Dark was very long, like somewhere around an hour and a half. Now, initially, AEW Dark takes about an hour, but ever since the start of the whole thing with Stay Home Order, much of the matches were cut to maybe half an hour or a little more. I'm not sure. I don't remember how much, but yeah, and it was great. Most of the matches were all squash matches, but there were some good ones. I'll tell you which ones are good. So the first match started out with Captain Sean Dean versus Cole Cabana, both men who are native of Chicago. There was some fun moments with Cole Cabana as always, and of course Sean Dean really impressed me a little bit. I know that he's not a full time roster. I know he's been training under um, the QT Marshall, but I'm excited to see more. But frankly, Cole Cabana won the match, and of course both men are from Chicago, both natives, and it's pretty fun to see that. I think the next match we had a tag team match. We had Mike Reed and Rembrandt versus Jurassic Express, Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy, which is great because I haven't seen these guys for a while. Well, mostly we've been seeing Marco, but Marco was there too. It was some great tag team work, even though that um, Mike Reed was more of a veteran. He knew exactly what to do. Great tag team work between both Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. I enjoyed everything. Marco being the support system was great too. So they won the match, and I think they're undefeated currently as a tag team group instead of individual. The next match was another tag team. This one was Lee Johnson and Musa versus Private Party. This one was a fun event with Private Party. We haven't seen them either for quite some time, but it's great to see them, because we know they've been appearing on Being the Elite. Um, we don't know what's going to happen now, but I know Florida has been changing the restriction a little bit. But they won the match. It was great, but they did not have the Atlas security to remove the chain when they go inside the club. Then we had the next match, John Cruz versus 10. Now, I'm going to give you guys this little description about John Cruz. I found out he has another wrestling name. His name is King Sepertico, which is like the snake. He is also in a wrestler in a mask. But the fun fact about him, he was trained in Team 3D Academy. So he currently lives in Florida. And also in his personal life, you guys must know, he's dating a female wrestler named Skylar Moore. Now, she showed up twice. One as a wrestler, one as an escort with him prior, like right in the start of the whole thing with the same home order. But she did appear for this particular AEW Dark. But I think that's about it. Now, this match was interesting because, as you know, the 10, who is Preston Vance as the new recruit by, of course, the Exalted One, Brody, Mr. Brody Lee, he manhandled John Cruz like a twig. And once he won the match, here comes Mr. Brody Lee, very happy that he got the results he wanted. He's very proud of his new asset that he's implying. So we may see more of 10. Um, I know people are excited because we only see them as numbers, not much with like we're seeing with Uno, Grayson, Silver, and Reynolds. But I think some of the minions are just numbers. So that's pretty much it. Then this is an interesting match where we had Allen Angels versus Ray Phoenix. Now this match in particular, there were people that were not criticizing, questioning the angle with Angels. Now months ago, a couple of weeks ago, he was in the match against Kenny Omega. Now, if this was a squash match, you're not supposed to let guys like them who are the jobbers try to go over. It's the jobber's job to lose against the top stars. And he puts out saying that he can hang with the big boys, with the top talent. So his match was against Ray Phoenix, one of the best high flyers in the world. So it was good. I enjoyed it. I don't know if AEW are considering signing him, but I have to say he does look like he does have potential to be part of the AEW brand. Um, we'll just wait and see. But it was a good match. I enjoyed this one between Angles and Ray Phoenix. But of course, Ray Phoenix took the victory on this one. No Pentagon, no Pac. Now the reason this is Penta is stuck in Mexico. Um, Pac stuck in the UK. So I know that Penta has made an appearances at AAA recently, but Phoenix couldn't because reason is I didn't learn that Penta lives in Tijuana, Ray Phoenix lives here in San Diego. So kind of weird. But hopefully we can see Death Triangle again. I really, really like this group. Then we had another female match. This one was Danny Jordan versus Chris Statlander. It was a good match, not gonna lie. I know I seen Danny Jordan on the NWA for the Square Circle. Uh, she even made appearances down in AEW Dark on a few occasions, but it was great. Chris Statlander, great to see her after who knows how long, but it was a good match. So she won the match on this one. Next match I think was Jason Cade versus yeah, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. So this was an interesting. Now we all know Orange Cassidy likes to wrestle with his hands in his pockets. Nico used to call them pockets, but Jason Cade wasn't having it. So it was great to see how Aaron Stevens took this match. It was so fun. And of course, he won the match, but Jason Cade cannot believe he lost it. He was like a little child, like yeah, yeah, like he can't believe it. Like he's down on the ground like a little kid who's unhappy with his mommy and daddy not getting him the toy he wanted. That's what it looks like to me. Now the next match is Skylar Moore versus Dr. Britt Baker. Now I mentioned her before. Her boyfriend is King Sepertico, but also better known as John Cruz. Now this match was more of a showcasing more Britt Baker as a heel. As you know, she was a face during the start of AEW, but now she's a heel, and she's been myrtleizing Skylar Moore, like putting her pain and all this other stuff, and it's kind of interesting how it is. But of course, Britt Baker won with that whole thing with the thing on the mouth. Now the main event was a no disqualification match. This is between Luther and Jimmy Havoc. Now Luther has been scouting Jimmy Havoc for a while, but Jimmy Havoc brought backup with him with his best friend and Kip Sabian, along with Super Bad Girl Penelope before. And I knew those two were going to help out. So, but it was a great match between two guys who trying to prove who is more extreme. And I have that feeling this is far from over between those two. But we'll just wait and see. So that's what happened at AEW Dark. I'm not sure if they're going to continue going with hour and a half because, like I said, in the beginning it was always an hour, and then later they jump in with ever since the whole pandemic started, they jump in like somewhere between 30 minutes. But we just wait and see what's going to happen. So let's move on with the show with Impact Wrestling. All right, welcome back. So let's talk about Impact Wrestling, reviewing this one. It starts out with this whole delusion with Moose. Now, Moose proclaimed himself to be the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Now, months ago, let's go back to this. Before the start of the pandemic, um, Impact Wrestling were hosting a show in WrestleCon where they're bringing back TNA stars for their upcoming event called There's No Place Like Home. And TNA has been mentioned time and time again. Moose was having issues saying he's sick and tired of TNA. People need to shut up and start talking about him. And of course, they were originally already had plans for this, and they kind of brought back the TNA World Title. Now, during the second week of Rebellion on the pay per view, somehow Moose obtained the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, claiming himself to be the champion, even though he did not want. The following week, which was last week, he got interviewed by Josh Matthews, and he told him, "You didn't win that title," but he said, "I beat RVD, I beat every." Now he thinks just because he beats wrestlers who were from TNA makes him champion. So he's living in this delusions of grandeur, and he pulled himself off from the tournament of the number of contenders for the Impact World title. Now he thinks that title is nothing. This is the title, and of course, he's been using footage of old interviews in TNA, how they're thinking they're talking about him, and he thinks this is all about him, and he lives in that delusions of grandeur, and of course, which is interesting how they're gonna go with the story. But sooner or later, Moose is gonna lose that title regardless. You know he didn't win it, and the problem is Tessa's gonna come back and beat him up for this one. So yeah, that's what happened with Moose. Now, first match of the night, it was the number one contender spot for the tournament. It was Madman Fulton alongside the Chris brothers versus Hernandez. This was a good match. I enjoyed it. Now, even though the Chris brothers were there, Hernandez was doing everything in his power to try to put Madman Fulton down and this and that. Even though OVE are still in turmoil knowing they don't have a leader, Sammy turned on them, that type of thing. But but yeah. So but of course the Chris brothers should not have got involved because they got pulled into the ring by Hernandez. And Hernandez won the match by using his famous move, jumping off the turnbuckle. And that makes him advance into the tournament. And Madman Fulton was not happy about it. Now, the whole thing with we had like a small video clip of Michael Elgin claiming he should have been champion already. That this whole thing is pointless. That he is going to win for the title. So, also another man with delusions. Now, behind after the match between Hernandez and Madman Fulton, Fulton was not too happy. He was losing his mind, and out of nowhere, here comes Crazy Steve getting in their heads. I don't know what's his deal, but he made fun of him, saying that does that make Madman Fulton a leader? I mean, I know that I don't know if he could be a leader or they'll find a leader. Who knows? Because they're in turmoil. And then once they all left, here comes Joseph P. Ryan saying that having the word crazy is offensive. It's not that crazy, you know? But yeah, I don't know if he's planning to cancel Crazy Steve, but we'll just wait and see where they're going to go. Then we go to a women's match between Kylie Ray and Tasha Steelz. Now, you guys are saying, wait a minute, isn't Tasha Steelz with NWA? Yes, she is, but she also is working with Impact as well. So they're going back and forth on this. But like I said, NWA hasn't done any shows like what they're doing now. But we'll just wait and see where they're going to go with it. This was a good match. Impressive moves from both Tasha and Kylie Ray. There was a moment where Tasha got out when her head was in the legs of Kylie Ray. She did And then Tasha did the same thing. Kylie Ray. It was like amazing. I enjoyed a lot of what they were doing, and of course, I know I can see a lot of potential in Kylie Ray now that she's in Impact and she won the match. So we don't know when she'll be having the opportunity for Knockouts Championship, but I'm excited to see that. Um, and then we had Rohit Raju, who, as you know, he's the only last remaining member of the Desi Hit Squad. The hit Gama and the rest of the squad left. He's the only one left. Now he's calling himself the Desi Hitman. And as you know, Moose backed down out of the number one contenders spot because he felt that he's already champion. And Raju, who was smart enough to go to the Impact officials and tell him, I'll take that spot. And that's what he did. So he's already been booked for a match against Trade for the number one contendership. So that's what we do. Then we have a match between Kimberly and Havoc. Now, as you all recall, a week ago, no, starting 2 weeks during Rebellion, during that Full Metal uh, Mayhem match between Rosemary and Havoc. Here comes Nevaeh, who's no one knows who she is, and in a following week, Madison Rain, doing her show called The Locker Room Talk, wanted answers to find out does she know why Levitt shows up. And then she brought back someone from her past, Kimberly, and they were booked for this particular match between each other. Now, out of nowhere, Nevaeh was there too, watching from the sides. Now I know that both Kimberly is trying to put her out, but nothing was working. Um, but later she pulled out the brass knuckles and she did very well hiding it from the ref. Knocked Havoc out, and that's the biggest upset that she won by beating Havoc, who was a former Knockouts champion. So that's kind of interesting to see. Then we see a video package with Kiera Hogan. Now, if y'all recall, she had red, like orange hair, like fire, and she's saying that she's like talking about the mistakes she was making. I'm not sure if she's going back to that fire image that she remembered, because when she turned blue, it was all heelish, which was kind of interesting. So we just gotta wait and see what's gonna happen. Then we go to the locker room talk. Now, Josh Matthews warned Madison Rain, you better be careful because Cam Shamrock hasn't forgotten what Johnny Swinger did to him. If you all recall, last year Johnny Swinger crapped on Ken Shamrock's bag, and he thought it was funny, but the other people in the locker room were like, out of your mind? You realize what you've done? They knew he pissed them off. Now, Swinger was trying to say, hey, nice to meet you. We met before. And of course, he just told him to get him some water, you know. Now, Madison Rain was talking with Shamrock, saying, okay, now you know you had your issues with these guys, including Johnny Swinger. He had issues with Moose. He had issues with Sammy, all this and that. But his main focus right now is the world title, and that's something that was on his focus since he returned. And out of nowhere, here comes Michael Elgin, and he attacked him. Michael is now going to that whole thing. He's not going to allow Ken Shamrock to take away what is his. He felt that title is made for him. It's meant for him. That he deserves it more. Now it's still unclear what's going to happen next week because he is scheduled to face. I don't remember who he's gonna face, but yeah. So that's from what I'm hearing. And then we go to another video package with Sami Callihan. Um, of course, he still has that now in his focus. Now, he kind of agreed with Ken Shamrock. They should be focusing on the prize title. And of course, you know, the whole thing, he knows what Michael Elgin's saying, that he wants the title. It's not going to happen. So, next week, Sami Callihan will face Michael Elgin. So this is going to be one interesting match to watch. So we can't wait to see what's going to happen. And then we have another match for the number one contender spot. It was Rahit Raju versus Rascal's Trade. Now this was amazing. I almost thought that Rahit Raju was going to win it, but great high flying with Trey, doing some great maneuvers. I know Rohit was doing the same thing, but of course, there's always that whole there has to be a winner. And so Trey won, so he advances. But they are going to keep an update what's going to happen with Ken Shamrock since he was attacked by Michael Elgin. Now, Cody Deaner, still on quarantine somewhere up in Canada. It was an entertaining video where he's like working out, wrestling, facing like a stuffed animal, that type of thing. It was so funny. But I'm excited what's going to happen. He's been talking with people on the phone. I just enjoyed every moment that they were putting on that one. And let's move on to back to the Battle Arts Academy where Ethan Page once again not promising Josh Alexander what he wants. He wants real competition. He's using the same guys that they used last week called the S'mores. And he's demanding better competition. But Ethan Page is trying to be like they can get away with everything, try to prove they're still the best, but but Josh is not too happy. Even though they won, it was a squash match. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully I don't know. I hate to be Ethan Page. I wouldn't want to piss off your partner. When he said he wants competition, he do it. But you, Ethan, you talk about being the best. If you want the best, you got to fake, not use a bunch of squirts who are too skinny. So then we see Rosemary in the in the bar going crazy, but here comes that furry dog that Johnny E. Bravo and Teo use, and Johnny E. Bravo's like still trying everything in his power. They argue back back and forth. Now I know that those two are scheduled to face both Taya and Rosemary, but we'll get to that sooner or later. Then we had an Impact Plus flashback moment of the week. This time it was in Victory Road 2009, AJ Styles versus Matt Hardy. This was a no title match, but it was a great match. I was like very excited how this match went. AJ won, but, so that's pretty much. You can get the Impact Plus. It's kind of like you're watching the WWE Network. Let's see what else happens. Okay, Johnny Swinger and Chris Bay got into a talk about Chris Bay is now in line to get a title shot for the X Division title, but instead he decided to stir things up with Johnny Swinger and Willie Mack. Now, Johnny Swinger thinks in his mind that he and Willie are good friends and they're tag team partners, but Willie Mack never considered him that. So he tried to get into his head, and Willie Mack thinks he's crazy. So that's kind of funny. He's trying to find a way to stir the pot, but I hate to be Willie Mack's like, what the hell is going on here? But that's what happened. Then we go to a match between Moose and Suicide. But like I said, Moose is being that delusion, saying he's world champion. He tells the announcer to say it, like saying, I'm the TNA world champion, you say it. And he's saying this is the match. Suicide, it's like, he's out of his mind. He has that look. But it was a great match. I think I enjoyed how this one was. It went longer. I did not expect it. Great high flying with Suicide. And I still don't know who is Suicide underneath. I know the last one portrayed was Caleb Conley, but yeah. But Moose won this match. He cheated his way when I know accidentally Suicide got out of the way, and Moose hit the ref. Moose gave him the low blow, and of course, Moose pinned Suicide, proclaiming he is still the champion. But he's not. Sooner or later, someone's going to take that title from him, saying he is not a champion. The only person who is the true champion is Tessa Blanchard. I would like to see what is going to happen, saying that Tessa is not the champion that he is. And Scott D'Amore is going to force uh, winner take all, and if Tessa wins, she takes that title from him, and Moose is left with nothing. So that's what happened with TNA. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now let's move on to the news update. So here's some news updates for all of you guys. This is the only one. Rumors are now circulating about Sting going to AEW. Now, some of you fans are saying, why Sting has to go to AEW? Now, the reason is now it's been confirmed that the Sting is no longer under contract with AEW. Now, many fans like myself, we always did believe Sting was never a WWE guy, and I know he just went with them for the money and all that. But there was one match that we all can agree on. It should have happened, but it never did. His dream match against the Undertaker. This was a match we definitely wanted to see. So you probably would agree with me on that. That they should have let this happen. But even the guys in Saudi Arabia wanted to see this match, but they said no. I don't know if Vince thought this will never sell, it would never bring the attention. It would. Just because these guys in their old age doesn't mean anything. This is a dream match. Now, it's still unclear why these rumors about Sting go to AEW. Now, we do know that TNT had WCW in their network a long time ago, and I know they will be happy to have Sting back, with AEW. Now, what can Sting contribute? I don't know. Maybe do a one or two match a year. I'm not sure, or be a coach, or just make appearances. But I know for a fact that Tony Khan can give him a good amount of money if he just shows up. Now, it's still unclear what he's planning to do. Now, if you guys think that Sting should just retire. Now, we also put another factor in this. Sting is not medically cleared. Who could forget about his 2005 match against Seth Rollins where he injured himself? We still don't know if he still has the capability to still wrestle, but if he does, then this is something we definitely got to see. And I don't know when that will happen. I'm sure Sting is trying to figure this out too. So, I think that's about it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode for Tuesday Wrestling. Hope there'll be more stuff coming soon. Stay tuned for the MLW Super Series that I'm still going to work on. And then after that, we'll go straight to Wednesday Night War. So, I must bid all of you adieu. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Goodbye. And have a nice day.